Welcome to Let's Calculate Something. Today we're going to cover Paul McWhorter's Pico W Lesson 12 solution. And in this one, what he asked us to do is use the RGB LED and have it make, change color based on red, green, blue, magenta, yellow, cyan, orange, and white. And what he asked is to have us have the user input the color, and then it would show the color. Okay, that's interesting and it's fun, but I decided to do it a little differently. I'd rather use the potentiometers to dial in the RGB based on a range of 0 to 255, and then bring that through the Pico W, like on 3 different input channels. Put the output on 3 different output channels, and then tie the RGB into that circuit, RGB LED into that circuit. And so what we'll do is we'll go over the circuit real quick, then we'll go over the code real quick, and then I'll demonstrate it. All right, so let's look at this circuit. What we have on the circuit is we have the Pico W, we have the power here going to the 3-volt bus. We have the negative grounding bus here, okay? And then basically we have 3 potentiometers and 3 LEDs. So what I did is I have the LEDs show brightness on a scale of 0 to 255, depending on what we dial in. Then we bring the negative side of the LED to ground. And then we also take the positive side of the LED, the red one, and bring that to, the blue one, and bring that to the blue leg of the RGB. And then we did the same for the green and the same for the red, okay? And I'm not going to go over all the details for the circuit, but it's all the elements of what we did in the previous lesson, so just kind of combining them together. Because remember, in the last lesson, we made the red LED go from whatever steps you wanted with a potentiometer. And so what I did is all 3 of those, the brightness of these will indicate what we're dialing in, and then we'll change the colors of the of this RGB LED. And I've used this piece of sprinkler pipe, or a fitting, a water fitting. I brought some of the grounds in over here and then jumpered it over to the I brought them over here and then jumpered it back to the main ground. That's fine. And then you can see we have the ground for the we have the positive voltage going to that RGB LED from right here. Okay, so that's the circuit. Now let's go over and look at the code. Okay, so really we have the red pin, the analog out red pin on 17, the green one on 16, the blue one on 13, the inputs for 28, 27, and 26 respectively. Then we read that with the PWM, sorry. Then we set up our frequencies and duties, 16 with the 16-bit set to 0. Then we go ahead and read the input for each one and make sure that's lined up. I set the steps equal to 255, just like we did before, and that indicates the 0 to 255 scale like you see in Microsoft and other places to define the colors. Then the red value is going to be the reading that we're getting from the inputs. So we're reading all the potentiometers. We're setting up our C float based on the number of steps. We're dividing up the 2 to the 16th. We're taking that to the 1 over the steps, just like we did in the last lesson. Then we figure out what the value is based on what's being read. Then we figure out the brightness, and we use that linearization that he used in his previous lesson. And then we send that output from the Pico W into the 3 LEDs. And then we print out the value of each one of them. And so you can see right now, they're all at 0, and we have white. We have black. So in other words, there's nothing there, right? So the first one we need to do is red. So let's take the red one up to 255. and you can see it changing. You can see it's very bright. Now you can see that the RGB LED is showing red, and then over here we're showing red is 255 and its value is like 65,535, very close, and the others are still at 0. Okay, so now we have to go back and do the green one. I'm going to move this out a little so you can see it. We'll bring this back, and now we'll do the green one. Now the green one is there. You can see the value went up to 255. The red is 0. The blue is 0. We have green. Now we'll go do the blue the same way. And this is really good to test out, like, is the circuit set up right? And it is. So we see the blue come on, and we should be seeing the blue here. There we go. A little bad connection. These are not the best breadboards. I've noticed a few of the connections aren't so hot. But that's the blue. All right. And you can see the value over here is at 255, right? And so let me turn this on here. Okay. All right. Let's get that out of the way. And now we've got our cursor. Good. So we can see the blue is at 255. And then the first one we want to do is magenta, which requires blue at 255 and red at 255. And there we go. We got our magenta. And now we're going to go for yellow, which means green is at 255 and blue is at 0. So let's take the blue away first, and that brings us to red. And then when we crank up the green, we've got kind of yellow, but the green is overwhelming. But there you can see yellow, not all the way to 255. It's just the quality of that LED, but it's the right idea. And now we need cyan with green and blue. So we'll turn down the red. Okay, and it's showing pretty green. And now we'll crank the green up, and we'll crank up the blue. And there you go. You're getting that cyan color. Okay. Now we need orange, and that requires us to take the green down to 165 and the red to 255. So we'll go ahead and do that. Red is at 255, blue is at 0, and green is at 165. Let's see if we can dial that in. Look at the green. About 165 right there. It's kind of orange. The orange is a tough color. I think other people in the comments kind of said that it was tough to get orange out of this thing. There we go. That's a little more orange. Not great though. I mean, that's kind of close. And then white would be turn them all up, and that will mix all the colors, and we have our typical white. Let's see what we can do here. If we turn up this blue, we should see it go more and more white. There you go. It's kind of hard. You got to balance it, but that's about as white as we'll get. So that's the circuit. I amped it up and did a lot more than he asked for, but I learned a lot doing it, and I think this is a much cooler way to set the colors than what he had, and I like it a lot better. And in fact, if we want to go find out more colors, then we can do that. And the way I did that, I'll just show you real quick. If you have a color here and you want to put a fill, you can just go to more colors and then go to custom, and you can see, like, if I leave those and then make this 165, we get that purple color. Okay, so let's try that. Let's see where our color was, and that was 255, 155, 255. So we have already those at 255. Let's bring this one back to like 155, and there, look, we're getting that color. So maybe a little less, I don't know, pretty close. That's pretty cool, right? So we got that pink color. So you can get whatever color you want based on the 0 to 255, and this is a pretty fun project. Thanks for watching. If you learned something, please subscribe. I'll be doing all of his lessons, so if you want to see my solutions, go ahead and do the lessons. I also have all kinds of things about mathematics and also 3D printing. So go ahead and subscribe, hit the like key, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.